protecting Jamaica?
Yes, neighbor.
Frame the conversation in terms of the national importance for me. The moment in our history protecting Jamaica. How would you frame this discussion for our listeners so that they understand how important this is for us? And while you answer the question, bear in mind where we are protecting Jamaica, because quite frankly, 51 or 53% of our GDP lost protecting. We are barely building back. Inflation have us away. Oil prices are rising. The economy may slow down. We have to drive this forward protecting. How important is this moment for not the Jamaica Labour Party, but for the country?
We're at a crossroads, neighbor. And it's a crossroads that is going to show many of the cracks that exist in our nationhood. Now, I remind myself constantly when I get angry that I should direct it at the PMP, the party, the hierarchical aspect of the party, and not really the people.
Yes.
I remind myself sometimes, I have to pinch myself. So, for example, the views that Scratchy just expressed are the views I hold.
Yes.
But these are views of an advanced society because we have been exposed to advanced
But by
society.
the way, why have you not been able to explore protecting some of the very activism that Scratchy speaks about? Because you have been so passionate about it. But
I have done that in many ways. I because of the nature of my history with the politics and other things, I have to remain anonymous. But I've done that in other ways, and I am still trying to find a way to do that more fulsomely.
yes,
But as I was saying, that because Scratchy and myself and others have been exposed to advanced society. You see, exposure is a beautiful thing in a name.
Absolutely correct.
And again, in sociology, which we reference sometimes, once the human being is exposed to a new reality, a different situation than his peers, especially singularly the human being.
It's multiculturalism, you know. It's very important.
Yes, very important. The behavior will begin a transformation that sometimes the same exposure, even though for a short time, sometimes by the time you go back to your peers, they will begin to see the difference and they will say, but we're like better than we are, you know?
Yeah.
But it's not that you're better, it's just that you've been exposed, and because of your exposure to something that is more advanced or better or a stage up or a step up from that which you knew, then it means that your overall behavior will be different. Now, I have to constantly remind myself that our country is just about 64 years young.
Yeah.
And so sometimes in contrasting, in matching up sometimes our country to advanced societies that are 200 years old, England, that still has its struggles. England changed 5 prime ministers in 2 years.
Yeah, and of course, the United States is celebrating its 250th anniversary today.
250th anniversary, and you know, and then England is about 900 or close to 1,000 years old. You know, and when we do that, sometimes it takes away the important factor.
Yeah.
That until these changes happen forcefully, they will. Because I think the Prime Minister understands this very well. And until they happen, the people will not begin to think differently. So, for example, now the JLP managed to get a 3rd term because of the results that people were able to see leading up to the last election.
Yes.
And now these people had a platform, they had a basis on which to judge the current government on the advancements that we have made. Now, I bet your neighbor that in another 2 decades, when Jamaica would have turned the corner and the society would have been so, we would have gotten to the point where we passed the 32,000 minimum wage per week. And we're now rubbing shoulders with about $600 a week at that point, which is standard in some US state like Georgia and even Florida. By the time you get to that point where people are able to eke out for themselves a better way of life, the standard of living will improve, especially throughout this term. The standard of living will improve tremendously. People will begin to have a new outlook. You see, these very little things that some of us don't regard because we have been exposed earlier than link fences from some of these communities will improve the outlook of the people.
Yes.
Simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of us might not see the importance. So I direct my anger and my disgust at the PMP, the party, and the hierarchy, the structure at the top, because they know the effect and the impact of a mind transformed. And they, understanding this, knows that no longer will they be able to use the poverty politics to control people. And that is the reason why they fight tooth and nail to block or to prevent the very transformation of the people that they speak publicly about, but secretly and behind closed doors, they really don't want it to happen. Because the substance of an improved mind is now what they will have to approach people on, and not some little petty, nonsensical stupidness. Neighbor, in another 3-4 years, characters like this lady who was on the news saying that she not a water, but she a vote. They say she a PMP because she not a head.
Yeah.
It is sad to say these things, but guess what? It is good for Jamaica that by the next cycle, these people might not be around.
Wow.
And it is the fact. It is the fact, neighbor. The elders, those who hold on to a certain way of life, where Michael Manley told them to go live on some people's land, but they do not have any title. They only have entitlement, but no title to the land. It is bizarre. 20 odd, 30 odd, 40 odd, 50 odd years later, they still are nowhere. And the PMP have always used this. They have always held it over their heads and used it against them. And as recently as leading up to the last election, the Councillor Dandan in Westmoreland, was reminding them that a PMP give them pit latrine in 2025. A PMP give them pit latrine, so they must vote for PMP. They hold these silly, nonsensical, stupid situations over them head. So I blame the PMP for knowing better but not doing better. But not until you think the Westmoreland people would vote for the PMP if they were exposed to a different way of life and a better way of life. They would not.
Yeah.
You couldn't come tell them about no pit latrine.
So protecting. The disaster, Melissa, it has created an opportunity for Jamaica. As sad as it was, an opportunity has been created. But protecting, will we seize this moment? Do you think? Do you think we will seize?
We're seizing the moment, neighbor.
Okay. Yes.
The Prime Minister understands the mission. It is his vision.
Yes.
Remember, the Prime Minister, understanding what happened to Jamaica, he went, he did his groundwork, and he came back with NaRRA. The Prime Minister said NaRRA, and NaRRA me say. So the Prime Minister understands the gravity of the situation, and I think he also understands very well what it will take to get this situation work. He knows that with this almost $2.5 trillion, he knows that the current government apparatus cannot spend it. He knows with the lag time between the different procurement levels will not allow this money to be spent.
Yes.
He knows. The opposition also knows this, and they also know that if this money is spent, then we are really advancing. They don't want that because it will be another feather in Andrew's cap. And they can't allow Andrew to get no more feather in his cap.
It's a NaRRA fourth term.
Because currently, you know,
Uh-huh.
they're in the middle of planning their comeback for the next election, because that's all.
Do you think that narrative is of substance, that NaRRA is a fourth term?
It is the most substantial argument that I am going to be beating like an horse for the next 4 or 5 years.
What you say?
Yes, it is. It is the fourth term for Andrew Holness. And a matter of fact, it is the fifth term too.
What are you saying to me?
You see, Harry was saying something very important a while ago, you know. It's just a pity that his line wasn't that.
Yeah, he coming back.
Yeah. These loans have terms.
Yes.
Limits on them. And you have to take up the loan within the period of time. Now, these are global rules that governs financial institution, you know, because it is money that does the work. And therefore, the money in the global financial system has to be accounted for. But there are terms that are put on these loans, and the loans must be used within those period of time. Mark Golden knows this too, because he runs a financial institution. He understands how these things are. So this tactic where you see them come with, where everybody sit down in the parliament since evening, silent, nobody no more want to talk, even though them name them on the sitting for talk. They want to wait till next week. And I can bet you next week, they're going to say somebody where they want to talk don't come. And then they're going to try to make it look like if the government choose to move ahead, they're going to try to make it look like the government is rushing this thing. I know how they are. I think the government also understand what is going to happen. But the Prime Minister, I think, understands what he needs to do. You can't sit down and wait for them. Because on one hand, they are saying the people need help. No!
Yes.
But now the helper come. On the other hand, they say, oh, wait a little bit, push it back, delay it.
What a something, sir? What a paradox.
So it is showing that they have no genuine interest for any help to go to the people. No, I don't know why, even after all of this, there are still some people who refuse. God, people know in a neighbor, as Scratchy said earlier, you know, people just refuse to participate in the public discussion. And I think the primary reason is that through them know the PMP are wicked, and the PMP will literally get you out. Literally. Yes, they have these discussions, but among friends, you know, among family members, you know, and so a lot of people shy away from having the public discussion. But people know, people see what the PMP are doing. People understand what they are doing. People understand what they are doing. And people know what the government is trying to do. And I do not believe that people are going to judge Andrew Michael Holness harshly. If next week when time come and them try to hold you up again, him say, listen me, we need to get along with this. We need to get this done now. Let us move the bill through its stages. Let's go to committee. And after committee, let us have the vote. And then send it down to the Senate, or send it up to the Senate. Make the Senate debate and pass, which is going to take another 2 weeks or so. No, and at the same tactic them are going to use in the Senate. I mean, no Sir Lambert Brown, if he's going to drop down by next week Friday, he's going to have a field day.
Well,
in there.
Yes.
Because he need to roll down one hill and down. Nobody
well, yes. No, sir, I tell you that